Welcome back to the Missouri Evergreen Cataloging Advanced course. My name is Greg Whitmore. I am the Consortium Cataloger. And in this video, we're going to look at editing a MARC record. Some records that we have are going to require maybe a little bit of editing. Some records might require a lot. I would say, to be honest, unless you're only going to change about 3 or 4 lines, that if you're changing more than that, you should either look at maybe importing a new record and moving all the holdings, or overlaying the record with a better record. In this particular case, I've only got one ISBN that I'm going to look at that I think has a really good record. It's not great. We're going to do some changes to it. So I'm in the catalog. I'm going to go into a numeric search, and I'm going to look for the ISBN of this particular book that I found. And this is it. It's a preservation cookbook. So we click into the title and we can go into the MARC view. And we can see that we have some good information in here. Looking down the list, there is no author listed, and that's because there is no author for this particular book. It's a compilation, but we do have all the editors listed here. Just as a reminder, editors do not get a 100 tag. They can be listed down in the 750s or 700s like they are down here, but they cannot be listed in the 100s. Editors don't get credit for writing books, unfortunately. In addition to what I see here, I like the fact that we've got a good 300 tag with some good descriptions in there. We've got our publishing information on the 264 tag. The RDA tags are here for the publishing of this particular book. It appears that this was merged at one point or another, because we do have a 500 tag that says the publisher, publishing date, and paging may vary, which we're allowed to do through Missouri Evergreen. We also have a couple of tags maybe in here that we don't need, specifically this one right here. It's a local tag. I'm not sure what it means, but for the consortium it doesn't mean anything. So we're going to probably delete that one. Anyway, once we've found a record and we want to kind of tighten it up a little bit, we're going to come into MARC Edit. Now you actually have two editors in MARC Edit. You have the enhanced MARC editor and you have a flat text editor. They both have very distinct looks to them. The flat text editor is the one I'm the most familiar with, because every ILS that I've come across always has this, where you can go in and actually insert the codes and the delimiters and the subfields and the information that they have in there. You just type it all out. With Missouri Evergreen, we actually have kind of a nice system, because the enhanced MARC editor, depending on what field you're in, you can actually go into a field and highlight it, and it will give you options of what to put in there. Now, this doesn't work on every field and tag, but it works on a good majority of them. When I'm initially looking at a record, the only time I'm really going to go into the enhanced MARC editor is if I need to change the leader or the first 1, 2, 3, 4, these first 4 or 5 tags that are up in this part of the record. Once we get to the 020 record and everything down below, I'm fairly confident that I'll change it if I need to, or add or subtract as needed. But to illustrate this, if we were to go into, say, the 092 tag and right mouse click, you can see where we have other tags that we can insert, and we have options that are available to us. So it's good to know. It's something that maybe you want to go in and play with a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and go into the flat text editor. So as we're looking through this, there are some things that we're going to want to change immediately. Because I know I'm going to be editing this record, I'm going to go into the 040 tag, and I'm going to add my library code onto the very end of it. That just lets everybody know that pulls this up that I came through and I actually did some edits on it. As I said before, the rest of this record actually looks pretty good. We are going to get rid of this 591 tag, because it doesn't really serve our purposes for anything. The other tag that I tend to put in quite a bit is the 520 summary tag. And I'd like to do that for this particular record. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the ISBN. I'm going to go out to Google and see if I can find a summary. And I actually have a nice one right here that I've located. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come in here and format the 520 tag. 2 delimiters with no information, a subfield A, and then I'm going to paste the summary right into it. Now I have to go through and actually do some editing on this because it didn't actually go in quite right for the way MARC wants to work. First of all, we want to make sure that there's no spaces between the initial subfield that we put in the first letter. That all has to be one line. Same thing here. You'll notice at the very end of this first paragraph we have a space. That's nice, but again in MARC that's not going to work for us, so we need to close up all that space, which is what I've done there. The next thing I do, especially if I'm putting in a summary, is I'm actually going to read it and see that it makes sense. The fact that it says covering pickling seems a little bit awkward to me. So I'm going to change it to this book covers blah 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 blah. The rest of that looks pretty good. Notice too that we have a space here between the end of the paragraph and the beginning of the next tag, and we can't have that. So I'm going to close that up as well. I don't see really anything else I want to add. Unfortunately, in my particular case, I am not editing this with the resource in hand. I'm actually doing this remotely. But ideally, as a cataloger, you would have the resource right at your hand and you can add stuff, add information if you need it, if you want to include it. If you find something that's important, like looking at this tag, I don't see the 010 Library of Congress tag. I might want to add that if I had it available. You know, you might look at your physical information and make sure that's all right. There may be somebody else in here that is credited that we could add, maybe a photographer or something. I don't know. I'm just saying that if you have the book in hand, or the resource at hand, because it could be a DVD or an audiobook or whatever, look at that packaging and look at that resource and see what you can add that will help not only your patrons but your staff as well. The more good detailed information you put into a record, the better it's going to be for everybody. Once you've made all of your changes, you of course want to come down and save them. Again, I'm going to come back into the MARC view and see that everything is laid out correctly and formatted correctly. And then if you really want to check it, come back up here and go into the Patron View. This is what the patrons are going to see when they pull it up. You see how many copies are available, who has them, a lot of good ISBN and publishing information here, and the summary, which is what I like. And that's it for going in and editing a MARC record. You should be able to do that with any record you come across. Look at it, get a feel for what it's telling you, maybe do some more research online to see what else you can find out about it. Use the resource itself to fill out that record and make it the best that it can be. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it.